basically say is a mea culpa, admitting that he's gotten this whole Ray Rice thing wrong. Back in February, for those that I guess haven't been in the loop or haven't been watching the news, Ray Rice and his then fiance were at Revel Casino in Atlantic City, where they got into an altercation, and subsequently, as we've seen the video, Rice knocked his then fiance out in the elevator. The first video that anybody had seen was of Rice himself dragging her out of the elevator, her unconscious body out of the elevator. And if that wasn't, appalling enough, you had this video that just came out where the actual knocking out occurred, which, the whole situation by the league has been wrong from the start.
Well, they just gave him 2 games.
Yes, and let me start off by saying, as I explained this, that there is no circumstance where I would ever condone domestic violence of any form, be it a man against a woman or a woman against a man. I have to get that. I have to make that clear. But one thing that I will say is, I'm not here also to argue about whether or not the 2-game ban by the league was right or it was wrong. This would, for all intents and purposes, appears as just a money situation. Those that were appalled by the lack of severity in his suspension, only getting 2 games and a $500,000 fine. Conveniently, this new video comes out where it's universally now, we're all appalled by seeing it, and now we're going to suspend him indefinitely, and the team is going to let him go. In my opinion, that should have been the ruling from the get-go. This is nothing more than double jeopardy.
But do we really have to see a video of this? I'm sure we're going to have a guest speaker here.
Well, that's my point. Yeah, I mean, he admitted that he knocked her out, and this video just confirms it. I mean, how do you think he knocked her out? We didn't need to see the video of the incident. We knew it. He admitted it. They should have acted swiftly from the get-go. This is nothing more than double jeopardy. I mean, you can't convict someone of murder twice just because you saw an actual video of the murder. If you're not happy with his sentence and the league is going to change their ruling, stand by the original punishment, whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent. You stand by the original punishment. You put forth a ruling that says this is how we're going to handle it from here on in, and you go with that. Going back and re-punishing him, conveniently, just as his original suspension is beginning to end, and saying, well, now we have to suspend him indefinitely, just makes zero sense to me.
So,
it indicates the league is
Chris,
driven by
not to be
nothing more than money.
disrespectful, you're going to say 2 games and that's it because that's
No, it's not enough. No, it's
so
not enough.
What should it be?
What I'm saying is they handled it wrong from the beginning, but you don't get to go back and just re-punish him because some people are up in arms over it. There was somebody
not
that said
not some people. I have statistics here to prove, and we're going to have an expert here talk about domestic violence and child abuse. But we're going to get the whole Adrian Peterson thing too. But we have a caller from Maryland. Are you there?
I am here.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I guess you're listening to us on the web there.
I am. I'm listening on the web.
Okay, you're in Maryland, close to Baltimore.
I am literally 10 miles outside of Baltimore.
Okay, we're just getting started with this whole program on domestic violence. We're talking about Ray Rice. What's your take on this situation since you're there? And I'm assuming you're a football fan, but also the community of Baltimore. What's your take on this?
Well, obviously it is close to home. We're in Raven country. And listening to Chris, before I say anything also, I want to make certain everybody's aware. My feeling is domestic violence, no matter what your name is or what you do for a living, it should never happen. No man should ever hit a woman, and I don't care, what they do for a living or what their name may be. But with that said, that's my personal belief. With that said, I think the NFL did handle this terribly. First they give them a 2-game suspension, and then they get crushed by all of the public opinion on the severity or non-severity of what they did. So they reconvene and they come up with a new policy with domestic violence, and they say the policy is for a first-time offender 6 games, and a second-time offender, you're suspended for life. And they just didn't follow the policy that they made and the policy or the punishment that they handed out to begin with.
I agree with you there, and that's the point that I'm trying to make as well, is that we're not debating whether or not the original punishment was severe or not severe. It's just a matter of, now that you have this new policy in place, you can't just go back and repunish the player.
But why not? You can't. These guys are. It's a privilege to be an athlete. First of all, it's a privilege to play in the NFL. It's not a mandate or a right from God.
Well, I don't know
it's
if it's necessarily a privilege. If you ask the guys that go through training camp, I mean, 100 guys show up in training camp, and only 53 make the roster, and it's not a privilege. You earn the right to be on that roster. But that being said, if you don't maintain a level of conduct that the league sets for every player, whether it's the star quarterback or the 53rd guy on the roster, if you don't maintain that level of conduct, you're out of the league.
But these guys, you throw in Adrian Peterson too, okay? I'm a Vikings fan from
Yeah.
way back, so this hits home, okay? Adrian Peterson should be banned. And plus, he's banned for the year, but you know what? He's getting a salary almost $1 million a week.
Well,
what does that show?
I
The
feel
only
like they
respect
handled that
these
right.
athletes have is money. They don't
That's
respect. They don't respect their wives, their girlfriends, their children. They don't understand that the only thing they do understand is sponsorship and the money.
Well, so
Mike,
does the league, though.
Mike, are you still there?
I'm still here.
All right, tell me Baltimore there. You have a Ray Rice jersey down there. What are you going to do with it today?
Well, it's funny you say that because yesterday and today, you were able to go to the stadium and the Ravens were exchanging jerseys. So, my Ray Rice jersey's gone.
Okay, so abuse and domestic violence is way above the game of football, correct?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Do you think that's a sentiment all in Baltimore and Ravens country?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, but the second suspension was also money driven. All right, let's not kid ourselves. I mean, the moral compass of the NFL, not just the players. The players are driven by money, but so is the league. You have a commissioner that makes $44 million a year. He's not giving that up, right? Voluntarily. People are calling for his resignation. I think he's fully right to not resign. He doesn't want to give up that $44 million a year. But, going back to the Rice incident, I'm not disputing whether the 2 games was enough, a lifetime suspension is enough. I agree, he should be gone.
And the commissioner should be gone.
And the commissioner should be gone.
Anthony, you're sitting here quietly. I know I've been holding you up. What do you have to say about this? Thank you, Mike, for calling in from Baltimore.
Thank
God
you,
bless,
Mike.
man. Take care.
Well, I think it's one of the first things that comes to mind is first of all, it's not double jeopardy because it's not a criminal case. And I agree with you, Steve. It is a privilege because he doesn't have a right to be a pro athlete. When you're a pro athlete, when you're a celebrity, when you're a politician, you're put up in a place where people do look up to you. So that's the first thing. The second thing I want to say is to say, well, I disagree with the original ruling, but let's not go back. It's not right to ban him again. It's very easy to say when you're a man. Right now, what we're not looking at is this. Crimes against women should be considered hate crimes. 1 in 4 women are physically assaulted, physically abused by a partner in their lives. It's 25% of all women, right? 1 in 3 are abused in other ways in addition to violence. So that's an epidemic. Of all the homicides of women in the United States, 1 in 3 are because of partners. And I will tell you this, a woman who is strangled or knocked unconscious by a partner has up to a 7 times more likelihood of being murdered by that partner. So absolutely, they got it wrong